top of the big stories tonight, beginning with a major decision from the Supreme Court. They're giving the all clear to President Trump's travel ban. The order applies to people from 6 mostly Muslim countries. The Supreme Court says the ban can take full effect even though lower courts are hearing legal challenges against it.
Confederate controversy in Lakeland. The city decided today to do something about this monument of a Confederate soldier in Munn Park.
The statue in Munn Park represents mental tyranny.
It's been there 107 years. Hasn't hurt anyone.
Passionate opinions from both sides. Now the city manager will look into the cost of moving the statue or leaving it where it is.
No deal between the Hillsborough School District and teachers. The district made an offer, but teachers say it falls way short of the $4,000 raises they were promised. The issue has been going on for a while now. You've seen walkouts, protests, and teachers demonstrating by working only their scheduled hours.
And a lot of you are not happy that the district and the teachers union failed to reach a deal today. The overwhelming response when I talked to you about this on Facebook Live was the teachers deserve it. Many of you said if the school board promised it, the board should deliver it. And a few of you said politicians and administrators should make less while teachers should make more. Here's a look at the numbers. The district offered $1.8 million total. Now that might sound like a lot of money, but the teachers union says it breaks down to just $92 per teacher. That's the raise. And that's a small fraction of what the 2013 contract promised, $4,000 for the teachers who qualified. The district needed to shell out $15 to $17 million at today's meeting to cover the cost of those raises. The pay plan, to which both sides agreed in 2013, gives raises every 3 years, but now the district is having a hard time coming up with that money. They're going to meet again at some point, but no date has been set. And after today's meeting, the Hillsborough Classroom Teachers Association tweeted this, quote, "We are not going to get to a different place until the district starts listening to their people, the ones that are actually in the classrooms making great things happen with students every day."
A Florida politician is facing 5 years in prison. You probably recognize former Jacksonville Congresswoman Corrine Brown. She was sentenced today on fraud charges for using a charity as her personal expense account. Nightside's reporter Sarah Rosario shows you the impact that Brown and her sentencing will have on politics and our state.
Corrine Brown defied the odds. She's from Jacksonville, Florida, and she started out in politics in the 1980s. She was one of 3 African Americans elected to Congress in Florida since the Reconstruction. That's the time of rebuilding after the Civil War. She also worked with our political expert, Dr. Lars Hafner, in the state legislature for 5 years.
She served on my committee when I chaired the Health and Human Services Committee of Appropriations. And at that point in time, she was a young representative from Jacksonville who was pretty ambitious.
She spent nearly 25 years in Congress, and during that time, her district, which is this one, District 5, it was known as the most notoriously gerrymandered district, running from Jacksonville to parts of Gainesville, and then look at this, all the way down south to Orlando. It was covering a majority of black neighborhoods. Now, many people are saying that's why she was able to stay in office for so long. Well, that district, it was redrawn in 2014. Take a look at what it looked like then. And it was a move that Brown said would water down the black vote. See, this is District 5 right here.
When you have longevity in politics, you can get away with more things, but you also become a little more reckless is what happens.
Well, in the middle of this whole redistricting debate, Brown created a charity called One Door for Education, and she was claiming to provide scholarships to underprivileged students pursuing a degree in education.
While she was doing good things for her constituency, she decided it was time to do some things for herself, and how she went about doing that is where she crossed the ethical line.
A federal jury convicted her in May of fraud, lying on her tax returns and on her congressional disclosures. And then prosecutors say she and her 2 co-conspirators, they're right here, it was her former chief of staff and the charity's executive director. They raised more than $800,000. But prosecutors say they only handed out 2 scholarships worth only $1,200. The indictment alleges that they used that money on several things, most of it on themselves, and others, they used the rest of it on lavish parties, expensive trips, concerts, games, you name it.
It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, male, female, Republican, or Democrat. It's catching everybody, and we as Americans should be better than this.
The impact this leaves is that it's continuing the stigma of dirty politicians. We pay tax dollars to hold these people to a higher standard, and now the good that they've done is overshadowed by their crime. Sarah Rosario, 10 News.
How old Trey Donaldson III, the accused Seminole Heights serial killer, was supposed to appear in court tomorrow morning, but the justice process isn't simple when it comes to a case like this. From court records, we have learned Donaldson's case is being treated as 4 separate murder cases. Each case needs to be assigned to a judge, or one judge can take on all 4. But none of those assignments have taken place just yet. For now, Donaldson is being held in jail without bond.
Seminole Heights businesses saw things return to normal this weekend as the community begins to move past the tragedy of the 4 murders while honoring the victims. Some of the stars of the Tampa Bay Lightning were out in the community today signing autographs and showing their support. Team captain Steven Stamkos says even while the team was on the road, their thoughts were with Seminole Heights.
I can't imagine what it's been like for the people that have been directly affected by what's gone on, but anytime you can get out in the community and even just pulling into the parking lot here, seeing all the fans and seeing everyone out again, and to try to get back, the local businesses here and get everything back up and running.
Good guys there. In exchange for autographs, fans brought the players new toys. Those will be donated to children in Seminole Heights.
The string of murders in Seminole Heights got national attention, and now another part of the story is grabbing headlines from the New York Daily News, even Inside Edition. All right, so during last week's press conference announcing the arrest of Trey Donaldson, there was a sign language interpreter there standing right next to the police chief. But it turns out she was unqualified and her translation didn't make sense.
From what I understand, she knows enough about sign language that she was able to fake it, but it was not accurate and it was not clear, and that's a disservice to the deaf community.
It turns out the woman, Derlin Roberts, wasn't hired by Tampa police. She apparently heard about the press conference and showed up offering her services. When TPD started getting criticism for the interpretation, they looked back into her record dating back to 2005, organized fraud, false imprisonment, and a long list of aliases. And she's apparently done the same thing to others. Tampa police say this won't happen again. But it turns out this is an ongoing problem. Look, in 2013, a fake sign language interpreter made an appearance, look at that, at the memorial service for Nelson Mandela. And you might remember this one. Back in September, Manatee County brought in a sign language interpreter who, instead of informing deaf viewers about Hurricane Irma, mistakenly warned them about pizza and a bear monster. We spoke to the director of the Family Center on Deafness in Largo. For years, this person and others have been telling us and telling people that lawmakers should require certifications for sign language interpreters.
In Florida, you have to have a license to get your nails done. You have to have a license to get a massage, but to serve in these critical situations where information is so important, anyone can walk in and say, I'm an interpreter.
Currently, there are 13 states that have laws in place requiring interpreters to hold state licenses. Florida is not one of them.
Hurricane Irma isn't done with Florida. The state could make some big changes because of lessons learned before, during, and after the storm. Today, a House committee held a meeting in Tallahassee to talk about a long list of recommendations that were submitted by lawmakers. That list includes creating gasoline fuel farms to help with temporary shortages, leasing a cruise ship to help evacuate people from the Keys, tax breaks for hurricane-damaged homes, and extending the Suncoast Parkway.
Let's take a closer look at this plan to extend the Suncoast Parkway. It starts at the Veterans here near TIA and extends north to US 98 in Citrus County. So the plan is, why not extend that road all the way up to the Georgia line? That's about 135 miles. The idea here, to alleviate any sort of traffic backups. Remember, during Hurricane Irma, so many people had trouble leaving the state.
Some of the stories you need to know tonight. American and South Korean troops have started a massive training exercise. The war games come less than a week after North Korea test-fired its most powerful missile ever. Operation Vigilant Ace is an annual drill, but with tensions so high in the region, there is even more focus on this massive exercise. And Native American tribes and environmental groups are promising a legal battle against the White House. President Trump signed proclamations today that cut almost 2 million acres from national monuments in Utah. That could open up sections of land to mining and grazing, and that includes land that is sacred to Native tribes. And the second time was a charm for the implosion of the Silverdome in Detroit. The former Lions Stadium was supposed to come down yesterday, but the demolition company says 8 charges were disconnected. The rest of the demolition will take place in phases over the next year. The Silverdome has hosted the Super Bowl, WrestleMania, the World Cup, and Pope John Paul II's Mass.
If you're feeling overwhelmed with your holiday shopping list, wait till you see what a Bay Area company is doing to help out local children. Nightside's Bo Zimmer shows you one employee in particular is leading the charge to make sure no kid goes without a gift for Christmas.
At the Progressive Insurance offices in Riverview, the halls are normally ringing with incoming calls.
Thanks for calling Progressive. This is Infante speaking.
But on this evening, it looks a lot more like Santa's workshop. The insurance company teaming up with the Plant City Kiwanis Club to sponsor an angel tree filled with blue and pink cards, each listing the age of a needy child and 3 items on their Christmas wish list.
This is about bringing joy to the kids.
Infante Clark is a customer service agent in his first year with Progressive. When he saw the huge number of cards on the tree, he didn't just take 1 or 2.
I just went and grabbed a whole row and I took half of the other row. So I didn't look at the cards or anything. So it's kind of like, hey, whatever I get, it must meant to be.
Word of his generosity spread throughout the office, inspiring more and more of his coworkers to chip in.
I've never seen someone with that much generosity, and he had taken so many of those kids and literally went through every part of the list that they wanted and got them that plus some. So I was blown away. It really made my day better.
And when there were only a few remaining cards left, Infante wasn't done yet.
And I'm like, hey, we're not going to have not one ticket left on this table.
Coworkers say they're not surprised.
From day one, he's impressed me. He just has the biggest heart I've really never met anyone like him.
This real-life Santa says he learned how good generosity feels years ago from his father.
When we would go for Christmas, we would buy gifts for the less fortunate, and that was what the joy was.
It's a tradition he still loves.
I was kind of picking up and like, wow, I wish I was one of these kids.
Progressive, ensuring each and every child has a very Merry Christmas.
And that's what I think this holiday is all about. It's about the gift of giving.
Carolee, I'd say this guy really is an angel. He's got the full-time job at Progressive. Yeah. He's a full-time student, and he's doing all this while saving money for this annual tradition of giving.
How does he find the time?
Who knows? Who knows? By the way, Progressive, they donated around enough for 500 kids, which three toys.
Right.
That's about 1,500 gifts.
Wow.
Yeah,
it goes to show you how one person can influence so many lives.
A huge impact across our community.
All right, thanks, Bo.
Awesome, great to see that. Well, we were in the parade over the weekend, the Christmas parade in downtown Tampa, but it didn't feel much like Christmas.
No, not at all.
I know a lot of people,
80s.
no jackets needed.
No,
so far.
74 is the average high temperature for this time of year now. We've been in the low 80s, a couple of 70s on the map today. But if you know where that jacket is, you're going to need it.
Oh boy.
And not just, I think it starts really Wednesday night into Thursday, so Thursday, but through the weekend and through much of next week as well too. Highs will be lucky to get out of the 60s. In fact, most of the extended forecast is in the 60s when we get towards Thursday. Today in Tampa, 81. St. Pete was 79. You see 77 in Lakeland. We had a few extra clouds out there, and that kept us just a little bit on the cooler side, but 81 in Sarasota and Crystal River still at 79 degrees. Right now outside it's nice and quiet and calm out there, 73 degrees. Dew point's still rather high, 63, so humidity's at 71%. But tomorrow morning, air temperatures dropping down to where that dew point is, and that means we're going to get some fog. So most areas now are near 60s, 70 for Bartow, Mulberry, and Riverview, but that won't be long before you drop into the 60s, and then eventually down to where that dew point is. And so I do think we'll wake up to a little bit of fog first thing tomorrow morning. Rain is gone right now on the map. We actually had a couple showers earlier today. You can see them right there in southeastern parts of Polk County, a couple showers just south of Lakeland. Small showers, didn't last long. But we're all dry now, and tomorrow I think it's less than a 10% chance for rain, so I don't have it in there. This is tomorrow afternoon, about 4:30, east to southeast winds. So that's a warm wind, it's a muggy wind for us. So we'll be right back up to about 80, 82 degrees, and partly cloudy skies, and I think most of us do stay dry. Wednesday, we'll start with sunshine, but there's a cold front coming down. And this front's going to start pushing some clouds in by Wednesday afternoon and evening, perhaps a stray shower. It's only about a 10% chance. But here's that front coming through early on Thursday morning, and that's what brings in the cooler air. Now, it doesn't get a good push all the way to the south, so the cooler air gets here but kind of sits here. But that means the clouds sit here and the chance for rain as well. So a few showers late Wednesday night, a few showers during the day on Thursday. It looks like now Friday into the first half of Saturday could bring us our best chance for rain. And to be honest with you, we could use a little bit of rain. Warm before then, though. 82 tomorrow under partly cloudy skies. Light winds for boating continues. Water's about 71. East to south winds around 5 to 10 knots. There's the cold air. You can see it's already pushing in the western United States, the northern plains. But that's what's going to dive off towards the south and the east. So watch us. 82 on Wednesday. In the low to mid 60s on Thursday. Now this is going to be right after midnight. That's 71. Most of the day is spent in the 60s. Friday, decent chance for rain and 62 degrees while it's raining. Yeah, that's not what we're used to around here, but that's what we're going to get. And then Saturday, the rain will get out of here. We'll start to dry things out, and eventually we'll get more sunshine, especially Sunday. If you've got weekend plans, Sunday right now looks to be the best one. But look at the highs. I mean, 64 on Saturday, 62 on Sunday. Mid-60s on Monday, even as we dry out. The overnight lows are going to go down into the 40s with the extra clouds around, especially through Saturday. That'll keep those overnight lows up just a little bit.
After a Twitter claim from President Trump, the build-up to Time's Person of the Year announcement has been getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, it definitely has. Since 1927, the magazine has recognized a person or a group that has made a big impact on the news of the last year, for better or for worse.
And for 2017, Time's editors have narrowed down a list of finalists.
Yeah, it's controversial. They include Jeff Bezos, he's the Amazon CEO and now the richest man in the world. The Dreamers, thousands of undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. by their parents when they were children. Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman. Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader. Colin Kaepernick, the former San Francisco 49ers quarterback who launched a national protest against racism and police brutality by kneeling during the national anthem. The #MeToo movement, which aims to shed light on the prevalence of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Robert Mueller, the special counsel investigating Russia's efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, President Trump. He was named last year's Person of the Year. And the President of China. Whew.
Yowzers.
I'm tired just from reading that.
Absolutely, a long list, but Colin Kaepernick is, the possibility that has a lot of people talking.
Yeah.
Facebook Live tonight, the
What do they
conversation.
think?
Overwhelmingly, people do not want him to
Not
win.
happy about it.
No, not happy about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people bringing up, well, my neighbor who's in the military, he served our country. Why don't they name this person? And that understanding of, it's got to be somebody who's kind of made a lot of headlines.
Controversial.
Right. It could be good or bad. That's key.
Yeah. All right. Time Magazine announces its Person of the Year on Wednesday.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
I say this all the time in coaching. You can have Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, you can have the greatest coaches in the world. But if your administration doesn't see things in the way you see things and allow you to do things that way, nothing can be achieved. You have to be a one. There's a oneness to everything you do to be successful.
Woo! $75 million and a brand new pair of cowboy boots. Jimbo Fisher saying goodbye to Florida State and hello, howdy to TAMU today. And he used that new footwear to kind of kick FSU while they were down. You just heard that right there, taking a nice shot at FSU's administration in today's introductory press conference. Yeah, I don't think FSU brass cares too much about Benedict Fisher, as I like to call him, because they're focused on finding Jimbo's replacement. And it seems like talks are heating up with Oregon's Willie Taggart. Yes, that Willie Taggart. He has long been the top target for the Noles, and 24/7 Sports is reporting that he met with FSU today in Scottsdale, Arizona, where he's on a recruiting trip for Oregon. Taggart may actually be wearing out his welcome in Eugene if he keeps flirting with FSU while he's on the clock for OU. A decision on Taggart and FSU's future is expected in the next 12 hours. Here's how quickly things have materialized with Willie. Friday, Fisher resigned at FSU. The next day, Taggart was identified as the top target. Sunday, he affirmed his commitment to Oregon with a tweet, but today met with FSU brass in Arizona. Now, if Willie T decides to stay put on the West Coast, FSU could turn its attention to Charlie Strong, which was Taggart's replacement at USF. Strong is on the short list for FSU as well. That would, of course, be if Willie T decides that he wants to stay at Oregon. Strong is no stranger to the big stage, having coached at Texas. He was asked point blank today about the interest from Florida State, and he shrugged things off quickly.
No, that's all rumors, and I have not been contacted at all.
There you go. Strong, a candidate for FSU, used to coach at Florida. Easy transition to the Noles and Gators on the hardwood tonight. Chris Chiozza, 5th-ranked Gators. Man, they were smothered by FSU's defense all night long. This, the steal, leads to the transition bucket. Terrence Mann with the slam, FSU by 6. Man to team high 25. Noles on the move again in transition. MJ Walker up to Phil Kofer. FSU was flying high. They kept their foot on the gas pedal off the miss here in the second half. Ike Obiagu slams it home. FSU forcing 17 turnovers. They are now 7-0 on the season. Peyton Barber, he's got SEC roots as well. The Auburn alum became the first Bucs running back to rush for over 100 yards this season when he ran for 102 on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. Also, the first time he hit the century mark in his career. Peyton Barber, man, he's taking advantage of a good opportunity, basically taking a stranglehold of that job at running back with Doug Martin out on Sunday with a concussion. 143 total yards. That led to a season high in rushing yards for the Bucs as well. Barber impressing many of his teammates as well. And you know who has not been impressive for the Bucs this season? Martin. He has stunk up the joint. And boy, oh boy, if Barber continues to take advantage of his opportunities, Martin will be in his final season with the Bucs. His contract up after the year. I don't think they're going to renew him.
Some really excited kids. Get this. I'm like jealous. They got to go on a shopping spree, right? Christmas shopping spree with the Bucs. It's incredible. And they got to meet their heroes. It was so much fun. And we were there.
Yeah, we were there. And the look on their faces was priceless. And that is what this event, it's called Shop with the Jock, is all about. Check this out.
All right, so look at their faces. It's just incredible. So Tampa Bay Bucs wide receiver Deshaun Jackson surprised 50 kids tonight with a shopping spree at the Tampa Walmart Supercenter.
Yeah, the kids are from the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jameis was in there with the girls, by the way. I got him in the Barbie section.
There you go.
You're welcome, Jameis. The Boys and Girls Club of Tampa, they got to spend $100 to get stuff on their holiday wish list. This was very special because the kids got to pick out exactly what they wanted and to do so with their favorite Bucs players. Yeah.
I think it's a very good activity, and I think we're all thankful.
Putting a smile on these kids' face, it's really a great thing that I try to do every year around this special time, you know, for special needs and extra, you know, funds to the families of these kids. You know, some of them may be struggling, maybe not able to purchase, you know, gifts and toys for their kids.
We should mention Chick-fil-A got them dinner, which was really nice. Yeah.
And you know, some of the kids, they talked about the gifts, but they really talked about the fact that they got to talk to these stars.
That's awesome.
That was huge for them.
It was really cute. Yeah, they were interviewing him, like, how did you get into
Jackson's
the NFL?
first year in Tampa Bay. Good to see him doing that here in the area.
Yeah. Such a nice guy.
Cool.
Thanks for having us, too.
Good night.